Today, I'll introduce you to the train system, which will revolutionize your base expansion. For those of you who are seeing trains for the first time, let's start with the basics. A rail post bundle contains 10 rail posts. You can place the bundle in the top slot of your backpack and use it like tethers by pressing C or V. Each rail post has 2 target pin sockets, which you can use to activate other equipment when a train passes by. The tall rail post bundle is taller than the regular rail post bundle, so it won't interfere with vehicle traffic. A rail junction bundle is a track switch. It's crafted as a bundle of 5, and like a power extender, you can place it on the ground and install them one by one with the F key, or attach it to your backpack for quick placement with C or V. By hovering your cursor over the junction and pressing F, you can switch the track in 3 directions. When you're on a train, you can use the left and right movement keys. Automatic switching is also possible by using the target pins on the rail posts as the train passes. A broken track at a junction has a different property than a regular broken track. A train on a regular broken track will stop completely and require a new signal to move, but a train stopped at a junction will move again automatically once the track is connected, without needing a new signal. The rail engine is a single-seat monorail locomotive. It consumes 3 units of power while operating and increases the speed of your rail cars, speeding up resource transportation. A rail car can attach a rover seat to use it as a passenger car, storage to use it as a freight car, or equipment to use it as a mobile base. It consumes 1 unit of power during operation, and you can connect up to 5 cars to a single train, excluding the rail engine. The rail station is a monorail train stop. The rail station is a facility specialized for automatic train stopping and cargo loading/unloading management. Of course, it can be replaced by other setups, but it's very efficient for large-scale automation. Basic 1. Straight line. Place a rail car on a rail post track and attach a storage sensor to the rail car. Set the storage sensor to full or empty. This is the most basic building block of a rail system. If you attach rail stations at both ends of the track, you can get fast loading and unloading. Basic 1-to-1. Straight line. Place a rail station between the rail posts and set it to stops all cars and load stopped cars. Then, place a delay repeater on the station's target pin and attach the delay repeater's target pin to the station's pin slot. This allows the train to depart without needing a storage sensor on the car itself. Basic 2. Connecting straight lines. You can create a circular loop by connecting several straight tracks together. The direction is important here. A rail car always moves to the left relative to the front of the rail station. If even one section is facing the wrong way, the train loop will get tangled. For your station settings, set the unloading station to stops all cars and unload stopped cars. Set the loading station to stops all cars and load stopped cars. To give the train time to load or unload, install a delay repeater. With this setup, the train will run indefinitely, even if the resources in one location run out. Basic 3. The Y junction. Lay down rail posts in a Y shape and install a junction at the branching point. Let's label the junction's pins. The back pin is pin slot A, the front left is pin slot B, and the front right is pin slot C. Let's label the Y-shaped track. The bottom of the Y is point 1, the top left is point 2, and the top right is point 3. Attach the pin from the rail post at point 2 to the junction's pin slot B. Attach the pin from the rail post at point 3 to the junction's pin slot C. If you start one rail car from point 2 and another from point 3, both trains will arrive at point 1. Fundamental 1. The Y junction. Attach the pin from the rail post at point 1 to a count repeater set to 2, and then attach the count repeater's pin to the junction's B slot. Attach the pin from the rail post at point 2 to a count repeater set to 2, and then attach the count repeater's pin to the junction's A slot. Attach the pin from the rail post at point 3 to a count repeater set to 2, and then attach the count repeater's pin to the junction's C slot. In this state, if you start a train from point 1, it will go to point 2, then to point 3, and then return to point 1. Fundamental 2. Stopping in the middle of a straight line. Place a junction in the middle of a straight track. Attach the target pin from the rail post just before the junction to the junction's B slot. Prepare a platform with a storage unit. Attach a storage sensor to the storage unit, and then attach the storage sensor's pin to the junction's A slot. Set the storage sensor to signal when it's empty. If you want to attach a storage sensor to the rail car itself, you must place it outside the range of the auto arm. Fundamental 3. The Y junction. Place a button repeater under the junctions B slot and C slot. Connect the button repeater under the B slot to the B slot itself. Connect the button repeater under the C slot to a count repeater set to 4. Then place it on top of the count repeater and connect its pin to the C slot. Create a segment from the rail post pin at point 1 and connect it to the button repeater under the B slot and the count repeater under the C slot. Also, attach the pin from the rail post at point 3 to the button repeater under the C slot. If you start a train from point 1, it will go to point 2, return to point 1, then go to point 3, and return to point 1 again. Fundamental 4. The Y junction. Attach the pin from the rail post at point 2 to a count repeater set to 2, and then attach the count repeater's pin to the junction's C slot. Attach the pin from the rail post at point 3 to a count repeater set to 2, and then attach the count repeater's pin to the junction's B slot. If you start 2 trains from point 2 and point 3, the train from point 2 will go to point 1, and then to point 2. The train from point 3 will stop until the track changes, then go to point 1 and return to point 3. Fundamental 5. The Y junction. Attach an auto arm to a medium stacked platform. Face the top auto arm toward the track and the bottom auto arm in the opposite direction. Place a medium platform within range of the bottom auto arm. Put any item in a tier. 1 socket on one of the medium platforms. Place a button repeater with a delay repeater under the junction's B slot and attach the button repeater's pin to the B slot. Attach a storage sensor to medium platform C, create a segment, and attach the pins to the delay repeater and the auto arm on the medium stacked platform. Create a symmetrical setup on the opposite side of the track. Stack 3 delay repeaters and attach them to all installed auto arms. Connect the right pin of the point 1 rail post to the bottommost delay repeater in the stack of 3. Create a segment from the left pin. Attach it to all auto arms. Attach it to the B slot of the point 1 junction, and attach it to the A slot of the intersection junction. Place a button repeater between points 2 and 3. Connect the rail post pins from points 2 and 3 to the button repeater. Then attach the button repeater's pin to the A slot of the point 1 junction. Attach the same item to the right auto arm and one of the trains. Do the same for the left side. If you move the 2 trains one after another from point 1, they will stop at the intersection and proceed to either point 2 or point 3 depending on the item attached to the train. However, this Fundamental 5 has a critical flaw. If the trains are too close together when they pass through it, the routes will get completely tangled. Only 1 train should enter this setup at a time. If 2 trains enter at once, they will cause a traffic jam on the track. Furthermore, the trains only travel from point 1 to point 2 or 3. They cannot return to point 1 from points 2 or 3. You can create more complex and efficient systems by applying the basics and fundamentals we've learned. Think about combining the basic and fundamental chapters or connecting 2 fundamentals together to design your rail system.